Hello everyone, thanks for joining me again today for another session of Lablanda Yoga. Today is going to be a little bit more of a fast-paced class, intermediate level, with a bit of a core workout, inversions, and strong arms. So come together to the front of your mat, close your eyes, and think of something that you would like to work on today, or that you have worked on today, and maybe you want to reflect on it. And then lay down on your back, keep your knees bent and close to your hips so that your hands can touch your heels. Inhale your hips up, exhale lower. Inhale to bridge, exhale lower. Inhale up again. This time, now we're lowering again. And inhale your hips up, and this time we're staying up longer, engaging our belly muscles, warming them up, and lower again. Hug your knees in and extend the left leg down to the floor. And reach the right leg up, give your hamstrings a nice stretch. Hold onto your thigh or your chin, and then bend the right leg up again. Bring your head up, lift the left leg off the floor, and engage your belly muscles. Breathing. Reach the right leg up to the sky again, left leg still lifted off the floor and the head as well. And then bring, we're still there, and then bring the left leg up. Yeah, bend your knees, good job, well done. Extend the right leg down to the floor, keep the left leg bent. Reach the left leg up to the sky and hold on to your thigh. Stretch out your hamstrings here. Bend the left leg again. Bring your head up and your right leg up. Engage your belly muscles. Just warming up our core here. Extend the left leg up to the sky again. Still lifting the head off the floor, engaging our core. And then bring the right leg up. Drop your head down. Stretch both hamstrings, breathe. Bend your knees, bring them down to the mat. Lift your legs up again. This time you can either cradle your head or bring your hands next to your hips and then start bicycling your legs back and forth. Head is lifted, so we're engaging our core. We can either do a slow pace or speed it up a bit if you like, and you can even add your elbows, touching right elbow to the left knee, left elbow to the right knee. And come back down lower to the mat, just for a very short period. And then bend your knees again. Come up to a bridge. This time clasp your hands behind your back. Roll your shoulders under and breathe. Exhale, lower down. Come to a tabletop position. Roll to the side. And inhale your left leg up and the right leg up and the left arm up. Sorry about that. And then exhale everything in. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bring your elbow and your knee into your core. So we're still warming up our core here. We'll do this about 4 times. Extend again, hold, drop the left arm, drop the right knee. Inhale, left leg up, right arm up. Exhale, bring everything in and round your back. Just a slight round in our spine, but engaging our core. Extend everything out, drop the right arm and the left leg, bring your hands forward and come up to downward facing dog, reaching your heels down to the mat. If this is the first down dog of the day for you today, start bicycling your legs to give your hamstrings a stretch. Breathing here. Make sure that your elbows are rolled in and facing up to the sky, and your shoulders are rolled in as well in your shoulder sockets to keep them protected. Inhale, feet in between your hands, come halfway up with a straight spine. Exhale, your hands down to the mat, rounding your spine. Inhale, your arms up again. Reach up to the sky. Bring your hands behind your back. Clasp them. A slight bend in the upper spine, and then fold forward, reaching your hands overhead. Bring your hands down to your shins, straight spine, and then down to the mat and step back into plank pose. Make sure that your feet are hips width apart, your spine is straight, your hips are not reaching upward but are in line with your legs and your torso. And then exhale to downward facing dog. Keep reaching your heels down to the mat. Make sure your hands are shoulder width apart, and then roll yourself to your tiptoes and to plank position. Hold here. Your elbows are facing forward, keeping your shoulders protected in the shoulder sockets. And then exhale down to downward facing dog again. Roll yourself forward to plank pose again. Lower halfway down. Inhale to upward facing dog with your thighs lifted off the mat. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now, if this transition is too difficult for you, you can always come into plank pose and lower all the way down to the floor. Come to low cobra or high cobra. And then lift yourself up to plank again, and then downward facing dog. So it's your choice. You can do one or the other. We'll do this a few more times. So roll yourself to plank position. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. During this transition, we're not touching the mat at all, besides our feet and our hands. So we're rolling ourselves to plank, halfway down. Inhale, upward facing dog with thighs lifted off the mat. Exhale, downward facing dog. Make sure that through these transitions you're always protecting your lower back by keeping your tailbone tucked in, even when we're bending our spine. And one more time. And come to downward facing dog. Step your right leg, right foot in between your hands and drop the left knee down to the mat. Keep both hands to both sides of the knee. And then inhale your right arm up to the sky. Twisting. You can either stay here or come up and balance. Breathing, and then drop the left arm down again. Reach the right arm up one more time. Come to downward facing dog with the right leg lifted up to the sky, and bend the leg to open up your hip. Square the hips and drop the right leg down to the mat again. Inhale, the left leg steps forward. Right knee drops down to the mat. Hands are to both sides of the knee. Opening up our hip here. Opening up our hip flexors, and then lift the left arm up to the sky and twist. Either stay here or come up and balance. Making sure that your hips are squared off forward, facing the front of the mat. Drop your right arm down, and then the left arm follows. Come up to downward facing dog with the left leg extended up to the sky, and bend the knee, opening up your hip. Then square off your hips, drop the left foot down to the mat, drop both knees down to the mat, and come to child's pose. Relax. Well done, good job. Come up to tabletop and to plank. Inhale the right knee in between your arms, drop it back, and then the left knee. You can either step or start jumping back and forth. Engage your core muscles here. Protect your spine. Do this about 10 times, I believe. And then come down to downward facing dog. You can also always drop your knees to child's pose whenever you wish, of course. And then roll yourself to plank again, and we'll start jumping again. Few more times, engaging the core. Hop, switch the right and left leg in between your arms, and then roll yourself to the right side. Bring the left arm up to the sky, side plank. Still engaging your core muscles here. Balance. Roll yourself to plank, lower yourself to chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, adho. Oh, no, plank again. And then roll yourself to the left hand side. Side plank. Lift the right arm up to the sky, engaging the belly muscles. Bring the right arm down, and then Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Reaching the heels down to the mat, but they never have to touch. You can always pause the video and come into a child's pose. Inhale your feet up in between your hands, look up. Exhale down to the mat. Inhale your arms up to the sky. Exhale, Samastiti here. And find your breath. Now, inhale the left leg back. Bend the knee to make sure that your spine is straight and you keep your tailbone tucked in. Reach your arms up and then exhale them down to the floor. Opening up our hips here. Now, I have brought some props with me today. I'm going to use these blocks to help me keep my spine straight so that I don't have to reach down to the mat too far. And then switch your step so that the left knee is in between the hands now. Still stretching our hip flexors, and then we'll switch again. Left leg steps back. Start hopping back and forth, or just keep stepping back and forth like we did before, one foot at a time. Engaging your belly muscles here. So the blocks also help you being a little bit further off the floor and jumping back and forth. Now inhale your spine up and exhale down to the floor. Inhale your arms up to the sky. Exhale, Samastiti. Exhale the right leg back and reach your arms up to the sky. Drop the right knee once to the floor just to make sure your spine is straight and tailbone is tucked in. Drop your hands down to the block, and again you can either step back and forth, swapping the feet, opening our hips, one foot at a time, or start hopping. Engaging belly muscles, make sure your spine is not too rounded. Just a few more times, and then come up with a straight spine again. Reach your hands down to the mat and roll down Uttanasana. Inhale, chair pose, Utkatasana, and then drop yourself all the way down to the mat. Come into Navasana, boat pose, engaging the core, still a little bit wobbly, and then reach down all the way to the mat. We're not in Shavasana yet. Don't get too excited. Just a short break, and then lift both legs up to the sky. Reach right leg down and up, left leg down and up. Engage your core. Right leg down, not touching the mat, and up, and left leg down and up. Good job. Both legs almost down, and then back up, And again, not touching the mat. You can keep your hands underneath your hips if you're having back pain when you're doing these exercises, or just keep them next to your hips. Engage your core. Down and up. And again, oh no, this time bend your knees. Well done. And lift your hips off the floor. Breathe. When you're doing bridge, make sure you're not moving your neck back and forth. Keep looking up. Protect your neck. And exhale, lower. Bend your knees and reach to the outside, the pinky toe side of your feet for happy baby pose. Extend the right leg, stretch the hamstrings, and then bend the knee again. And then extend the left leg. Oh, not yet. Now, there we go. And stretch your hamstrings there as well. Come back to happy baby. Make sure your spine is flat on the mat. Bend your knees and hug them in. And drop your feet down to the mat. Keep your knees bent and pointing upwards and let everything sink in. Let your hips become heavy, your spine become heavy, and shoulders as well. Hug your knees in one more time and roll yourself back and forth to a seated position. And then lift your feet off the floor again to Navasana pose. This time straighten the right leg and then the left leg. Straighten both legs, keep your spine straight, core engaged, and then cross your legs in front of you. Roll yourself forward, jump into Chaturanga, lower yourself halfway down and inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, roll your toes to downward facing dog, reaching your heels down to the mat. Making sure your shoulders are protected in their shoulder socket, and then come down to dolphin. Clasping your hands together and your elbows are down on the mat. Let your head just hang in between your shoulders and come to dolphin plank. Engage your core. Make sure your hips are not reaching up to the sky, but in line with your legs and your spine. Engage your core. Breathe. Going to be here for a few seconds. And then roll yourself to the right side. Reach the left arm up. You can either stay here or bring the left leg behind you and the left arm all around your body and behind your head for wild thing, halfway wild thing, let's say. And then come down to dolphin plank again. Roll to the left hand side. Either stay here, side plank, or bring the right foot behind you flat on the floor. Roll your arm all around your body and behind your head and reach your hips up. Come back to the mat and drop your knees. You can get a little blanket to cushion your head. We're going to prepare for our inversion. Please don't do this on a balcony. Do it against a wall so that you don't hurt yourself. What you want to do is reach the crown of your head down to the mat. So the crown of your head is not going to be in your hands, but you're just supporting the back of your head with your hands. And then bend your elbows. Make sure they are shoulder width apart. Engage your belly muscles and walk your feet closer to your body, and then lift up with your knees bent. Take it really slow. Make sure that you're engaging your core muscles here and that you're stable. And your head wants to be lifted slightly off the floor. You don't want to put a lot of pressure on your neck. You're not carrying your body weight with your head. You're carrying it with your elbows, with your forearms. So you really want to push yourself off the mat. Now pause the video and try this again. To stay up, come down into child's pose. Really important to do child's pose right after a headstand to release any pressure on the neck. So stay here for a few seconds. We're going to come up again in just a second. So the way to come down, you can either bend your knees again and then lower yourself all the way down slowly and still engaging your core, or what you can also do is to keep your legs straight and drop the feet down to the floor. So So first let's come up again, tuck your toes, reach your heels up and your hips up, walk your feet closer to your body, bend your knees, balance first, find stability, and then reach your feet up to the sky. Now, I'm keeping my legs straight here, and while I'm doing that, I'm also reaching my hips further back. I think I did a little bit too far back, I was a bit unstable there, but that's also a variation. Come down to a child's pose or downward facing dog. You'll probably notice that it got darker now. That's because I had to record this part later during the day. Stay in down dog and keep breathing, and then roll yourself back to plank pose. Make sure your feet are hips width apart, and then roll to your right hand to side plank. Lift the left arm up to the sky. You can, if you like, do a variation and drop the left leg just behind you and reach the left arm behind your head. So this is the real wild thing, the full position. And come back to side plank, drop the left arm and roll to the other side. Lift your right hand up, drop the right leg behind you and reach the right arm up and around your upper body to wild thing. You can pause the video and just try this on your own if you want to practice a bit or experiment and see how it feels. It's a really nice chest opener. Now roll yourself back to plank pose and then lower yourself all the way down to the floor. Inhale to small cobra or high cobra. Tuck your toes and come to upward facing dog if you like, with your thighs lifted off the mat. And then roll yourself to downward facing dog. Just a short one. Jump forward to seated position, Dandasana. Keep your toes pointed up to the sky. Inhale your arms up. Exhale, grab your feet on the outside. Now you can either stay here, or if you are quite flexible, you can also take a block and make yourself long. Try not to round your spine too much. Pull up on your kneecaps to protect your hamstrings, not to overstretch. And then slowly come back up. Bend your right knee and bring your right foot over next to your left knee. If that's too much or too intense, keep the right foot next to your knee on the right side and then twist. Option to stay here or intertwine and bring your left arm underneath your right knee and clasp your hands behind your back. Make sure you're sitting equally on your sitting bones. Look back and twist and then release. Bend the left knee, either stay here or bring it over across your right knee. And then lift up, reach up with your hand and twist. Either stay here or intertwine. Bring your right arm underneath your left knee and then clasp your hands behind your back. Twist. And don't forget to breathe. Make sure you're not holding any tension anywhere in your face. Keep your right toes pointed up to the sky and release. Come back to center. Roll yourself to your back. Make yourself to a small ball and then grab your feet on the outside for happy baby pose. Make sure your spine is flat on the floor and extend your feet up. Give your hamstrings a stretch. Bend one leg and then the other. And drop your feet to the floor. Then bring your knees into your body and lift your hips off the floor. We'll come up to a supported shoulder stand. Love this pose. Hold on to your hips with your arms and lift the legs up to the sky. There's a slight bend in the upper back here. And if you feel really adventurous today, come up to shoulder stand and lift your legs all the way up. Make sure your torso is straight and you're supporting your back with your hands. If you're stable, you can drop your hands down to the floor behind you. Make sure you're not moving your neck back and forth. Option to come into plow pose while dropping your legs behind you and feet straight to the floor. Not moving your neck, very important. And you can drop your knees as well. This is quite an intense neck stretch. Please don't overdo it. You can also just stay in plow or in shoulder stand or in supported shoulder stand. That's totally fine. I love supported shoulder stand, so I'm going to come up in it again, holding my hips here, slight back bend in my upper back, and then rolling yourself slowly, vertebra by vertebra, down to the mat and come straight into fish pose, Matsyendrasana, to release any tension that we hold in our neck. Very important to do this pose after a shoulder stand. And then lie back down. Lift yourself up again. Keep your feet flat on the floor and bring your hands behind your back and lift your hips off the floor. Drop your head behind you. Purvottanasana, reverse plank pose. If your feet can't touch the floor all the way, that's totally fine, but make sure that your spine is straight and you keep your lower back protected. And then come all the way down to the floor again. Bend your knees, bring your feet, your heels close to your body and come to a bridge pose. Roll your shoulders under and clasp your hands behind your back. Lift your hips off the floor, higher up. And come back down, drop your knees to the side and touch the soles of your feet together. Breathe. And then bring your knees up again. You can either do another bridge pose, same one as we did before, or come up to full wheel. If you come up to full wheel, make sure your hands are next to your ears and your feet are hips width apart. And then first come up on the top of your head and then lift up to full wheel pose. Option to lift the feet, but you don't have to. Bring chin into chest to come down. Lower yourself, crown of your head to the floor. Drop your shoulders and then your hips. Hug your knees in, roll yourself back and forth, give your lower back a little massage or side to side. And then cross the left knee on top of the right knee and twist. Bring your left arm to the side and look to your left hand and twist from the upper spine. Try to reach your shoulder down to the mat. And then switch sides. Right knee this time crosses over left knee. Variation is to intertwine your feet, bring your foot behind your shin, but you don't have to. You can also just cross your knees. And then bring your right arm to the side. Look at your right hand. Really important to breathe in our twists, to release toxins in our spine and our muscles. Such a good pose to end your practice with today. And then roll yourself back to center, drop your legs on the floor and come into Shavasana. Make sure you're comfortable. The palms of your hands are reaching up. Let your feet flop open, close your eyes. Shavasana. Let's come back to the intention that we set ourselves for today. Let's be grateful and not be fearful in the times that we're going through at the moment. And just remember that we always have a choice to make changes in our life. Now slowly start moving your fingers and your feet. Bring your mind back to the present. We had a crazy practice today. I really hope you liked it, you enjoyed it. It was definitely an advanced class. I hope you didn't hurt yourself. Make sure you always pause the video if you want to try something on your own time. Now come back up to seated. Keep your eyes closed. Bring your hands to your knees and just come back to the goal that you set yourself for today and how you're going to go about it. Thank you for showing up and practicing with me today. So happy that you were here. Please leave me a comment or feedback if you want. Donate if you really enjoyed this class. And I'll see you next time. Let me know if you have any questions. Namaste.